Why all species run. When humans say, "Now I'm actually getting annoyed." The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Eva Martinez stood before the assembled representatives of 47 species. Her dark eyes swept across the room, taking in the Vrexian delegates' nervous antennae twitching, the Kolthari representatives' three eyes blinking in rapid succession, and the collective tension that seemed to vibrate through the air itself. "I would like to remind this council," Eva said, her voice calm and measured, "that Earth's shipping lanes have been blockaded for 17 standard cycles now. We have been patient. We have been diplomatic. We have followed every protocol in your extensive bureaucratic labyrinth." The Vrexian ambassador, a tall creature resembling a mantis constructed from liquid metal, clicked his mandibles. "Ambassador Martinez, the Kolthari Empire has every right to inspect vessels in contested space. Your agitation is unwarranted," Eva smiled. It was the kind of smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Agitation? No, Ambassador Zrix, this isn't agitation. Trust me, you'll know when I'm actually getting annoyed." A collective shudder ran through the chamber. Even the Kolthari war chief, whose species had conquered 12 systems before humanity had even discovered fire, leaned back in his reinforced seat. Luis Cardona, Earth's military liaison, watched from the observation deck above. He'd served with Eva during the Proxima incident, and he recognized that particular tone. He tapped his communicator. "All personnel prepare for immediate diplomatic withdrawal. Pattern Delta." His assistant, a young officer fresh from Mars, looked confused. "Sir, the ambassador hasn't given the signal." "She just did," Luis replied grimly. "She said she's actually getting annoyed. That's not a warning. That's a countdown." The thing about humans that most galactic species failed to understand was their relationship with patience. The Vrexians had a saying: "Humans are the only species that will wait 1,000 years for revenge and call it taking the high road." But there was a corollary that fewer species lived long enough to learn. When a human announced they were moving from patient to annoyed, the time for negotiation had already passed. Eva continued, her voice still remarkably calm. "I have spent 4 months in this chamber, 4 months of listening to the Kolthari Empire justify why they're stopping our medical supply ships. 4 months of watching beings who claim to be civilized deny food to our colonies while you debate jurisdictional boundaries. The law is complex," the Kolthari war chief growled, his forearms crossing over his armored chest. "Humans are newcomers to galactic society. You must learn patience." "Patience," Eva repeated, and now her smile vanished entirely. "Let me tell you about patience, War Chief Tormax. My species spent 10,000 years fighting each other over rocks and rivers. We built empires on patience. We perfected the art of waiting for exactly the right moment to strike. Every human child learns a game called chess, where the entire point is patient strategy. We weaponized patience long before we discovered faster-than-light travel." She took a step forward, and Tormax's primary eyes widened imperceptibly. "But we also learned something else. We learned that there's a difference between patience and submission, between diplomacy and cowardice, between being civilized and being conquered." The Vrexian ambassador attempted to interject. "Ambassador, perhaps we should—" "I'm not finished," Eva said quietly, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop. 17 cycles ago I came here asking, politely, for the blockade to be lifted. 12 cycles ago I came here requesting, diplomatically, for humanitarian corridors. 6 cycles ago I came here demanding, officially, that you honor the treaties you yourselves drafted." She looked directly at the Kolthari war chief. "Today I'm not asking. I'm not requesting. I'm not even demanding. Today I'm informing you of what happens next." Luis was already moving down from the observation deck. He knew the timeline now. They had maybe 3 minutes before the council realized what Eva's words actually meant. Eva's next words were delivered with the kind of casual precision that humans reserved for stating absolute facts. "In approximately 90 seconds, 3 things will happen. First, the Earth Defense Fleet will exit hyperspace at coordinates that surround every single Kolthari blockade position. Not near them. Not approaching them. Surrounding them." The Kolthari delegation erupted in outrage, but Eva's voice cut through it like a laser through vapor. "Second, every single Earth vessel in this sector, and I do mean every single one, including our civilian transports, will activate weapon systems that you didn't know we had. Because that's another thing about humans. We plan for the worst while hoping for the best." Tormax stood, his massive form towering over the podium. This is an act of war. No, Eva corrected, her voice still eerily calm. An act of war was blockading our medical supplies. An act of war was letting our colonists go hungry while you played political games. What this is, War Chief, is an act of being done with your nonsense. Luis reached the main floor just as Eva delivered her final statement. He positioned himself by the exit, knowing what came next. And third, Eva said, gathering her data tablets with deliberate care, you're going to lift that blockade in the next 60 seconds. Or you're going to learn why every species in this galaxy that has ever fought humans has learned to recognize one particular phrase. The phrase I'm about to say right now. She looked up, meeting the eyes of every delegate in the chamber. Now I'm actually getting annoyed. The chamber exploded into chaos. The Vrexians were already scrambling for their communication devices. The Karathi delegation, whose species had fought a brief war with Earth 3 decades prior, were actually evacuating. They knew. They remembered. Luis opened the door for Eva as she walked calmly toward the exit. Fleet's in position, he confirmed quietly. Weapons hot. Waiting on your signal. No signal necessary, Eva replied. They'll lift the blockade within the hour. You sure? Tormax looked ready to fight. Eva glanced back at the chaos in the chamber, where the Kolthari war chief was now being urgently addressed by several older members of his delegation. The ones who had access to the historical records, the ones who had studied Earth's military campaigns. He'll check the records, Eva said with absolute certainty. He'll find the reports from the Nexian campaign, the Proxima incident, the Zyrex standoff, and he'll learn what every other species learned. Humans have enormous patience, right up until we don't. And when a human tells you they're actually getting annoyed, it means the patience has run out and the consequences are already in motion. As they walked toward the transport bay, Luis couldn't help but smile. You know, most species would have started shooting already. Most species aren't human, Eva replied. We give warnings. Fair warnings, clear warnings, but we only give them once. She paused at the transport door, looking back at the council building. Now they have a choice. Learn from those warnings or become another case study in why you don't test human patience. 3 hours later, the Kolthari blockade was lifted. War Chief Tormax personally delivered the order, having spent those 3 hours reading reports from species who had learned the hard way what happened when humans transitioned from diplomatic to actually annoyed. The Galactic Council added a new unofficial protocol to their guidelines. If a human representative indicates increasing annoyance, immediate compliance with their reasonable requests is strongly advised. In the Human Diplomatic Corps, they had a different saying. We're patient, until we're not, and we're very good at both. Eva Martinez returned to Earth with the supply lanes open, 0 shots fired, and her reputation as the ambassador you never wanted to annoy firmly cemented. Luis filed his report with a simple addendum. Recommend all future officers learn to recognize the warning signs. Humans don't bluff, we just have very long fuses. And across the galaxy, species that had never even met humans began learning a simple phrase in Earth Standard. Now I'm actually getting annoyed. They learned it the same way one learns not to touch fire, through the painful experience of others and the wisdom to heed their warnings.